Hello and welcome to Your Tweets, Your Votes, a special presentation, a partnership between Twitter India and Headlines Today. Today we're going to get you data on the elections like you've never seen it before. Social media data, what you've been saying on Twitter right through the elections and how we've captured it with the help of Twitter India into graphics and visualizations. I want to introduce Raheel Khurshid. He's the head of news and government for Twitter in India. He'll be taking us through some of the key data figures, the key data points, and some of the key moments on Twitter through this election. Raheel, I want to start off with this very interesting map in the back because it's buzzing with activity. This is India, from what I can see. But it's got a lot of light dots and lots of green dots and orange and blue. Yeah. What's going on here?
So basically, this is all the election-related activity captured from the 1st of January to the 6th of April, when the election started. If you can see that the conversation is basically identified per different colors. So you have three colors. The blue is for the Indian National Congress. The saffron is for Mr. Narendra Modi and the BJP, and the green is for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party. Yes. Yeah. So what you're seeing basically is a visualization that basically is a date-wise visualization. If you sort of look at the map as it moves, the date changes and you basically get an overview of all the activity, all the political conversation.
So each dot is a tweet.
Each dot is conversations, mentions. It's a range of activity that we've tried to capture.
Right.
Mining data around key search terms, key leaders, key names, whatever it is that Indians have been using beginning the 1st of January.
And in this case, as you mentioned, it's the three leaders of the Congress, BJP and Aam Aadmi Party.
Because they've been predominantly the ones who dominated the platform beginning January 1st as far as this election is concerned.
Right. The interesting thing, of course, we've actually got this data updated from the beginning of the elections, which is actually the 7th of April, right up to the last day of the election. So if you can see that little blue bar on the corner, it's sort of advancing as you go along, probably too far away on the television to see it. But as it hits the end over there, that's the 12th of May, which is the last day of the elections, and then it sort of repeats and goes into a loop and starts again from the first day of the elections. So this is what India looked like in the period of the elections. And I want to zoom out of this map because it gets really interesting when you do that. And we have the whole world over here.
Yeah.
This is what Twitter looked like talking about the Indian elections from April to May. Tell us a bit about this map, Raheel.
Yeah, so this is the entire global conversation captured in 30 seconds. So all your tweets, all your favorite, all your retweets, DMs, everything that happened on Twitter with respect to the election, this captures that activity. Again, color-coded per party and candidate. And also you can see as the graph sort of like hit a high, that's the high in the volume. If you stop at a particular date, you'll be able to locate that activity on that date and go into an archive and figure out what is it that happened on this day that resulted in this spurt.
So we see a lot of buzz around India, we see a lot of buzz around Southeast Asia, a little bit around Southeast Australia, plenty in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
Of course, North America, the East Coast and LA as well. But we're also seeing some interesting activity around here in Turkey and in Brazil. What's going on over there?
So Locale, as I said, particularly for Indian users, is an ongoing project for us. We've just refined it. A lot of users don't switch it on by default or on operators that sort of flit countries and so on and so forth. As we go into the next couple of quarters, you'll see that this activity is more sharpened, more refined. You'll see a lot more Indian users will basically, as they turn on location, will be able to produce this graph in an even more accurate real-time manner.
Okay. So, you know, what I love about data visualizations, Raheel, of course, is this actually captures the Indian diaspora, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
You have Indians pretty much all over the world, except maybe Central Asia, a bit of China, some parts of Africa. But again, you can see some tweets generating around the East Coast and then around Nigeria.
It's fascinating. You don't necessarily have to have Indians in these parts of the world. If anyone, anywhere in the world has tweeted using the search terms about the Indian elections, that conversation is captured on this map.
That's a fascinating map and a fascinating visualization that you guys have put together. So, okay, let's go across because there's plenty of data and there's plenty that we want to talk about during the elections. And I want to start with one interesting graphic, which is what Twitter looked like back in 2009 during the last election and what it looks like today. That's 2014, this election, the then and now graphic coming up. This is the most interesting. Back in 2009, we had only 3 Indian politicians on Twitter. So who were they?
So one was Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who at that point in time had about 6,000 followers. Can you believe that? And then there was Mr. Narendra Modi, who had a handle, but he was inactive. And then Gul Panag was there, but she was not a politician then.
Yeah, she was, well, she
was an actor,
she still is a celebrity in some ways, but certainly a politician in her own respect. Let's take a look. Fast forward 5 years. What's the figure like now? 450. How did we get there? Why did we get there?
This is fantastic, right? Because 2009, I covered the election as a reporter. And at that point in time, as Dr. Tharoor sort of like started tweeting about his campaign, everyone heaped scorn on him. Everyone was like, why is he doing this? What is this medium? What is 140 characters? He got made fun of within the party as well as within the media.
Twitter India didn't exist in 2009.
Twitter India did not definitely exist in India in 2009, yes. To a point where everyone who needs to be on the platform is on the platform, and as we sort of look back on this election, it's been fascinating to watch the range of activity and engagement that the platform has seen. If I sort of like get some numbers up, from the 1st of January to the 12th of May, we've had about 56 million tweets,
wow, okay.
Which are politics and elections related. To put this number in perspective,
let's take a look at some interesting there, because we've got, of course, we've captured 450 over here, but this is another interesting graphic, and we'll go full frame with this in just a minute. These are the 10 pioneering netas on Twitter. And you can see it happening over here. Let's go actually run through all 10 of them. We have Narendra Modi, who started the earliest in January 2009. He now has nearly 4 million followers. Let's quickly run through all of them. We have next Gul Panag from the Aam Aadmi Party, joined in March 2009, 8 lakh followers, 8.6 lakh. Shashi Tharoor of the Congress came in next on Twitter. He has about 2.1 million followers. Ajay Maken, surprisingly, that handle was active pretty early, but only 957 tweets. Subramanian Swamy of the BJP is next. A big Twitter following, nearly 500,000 followers over there, more than 500,000. Derek O'Brien of the Trinamool Congress is next with 250,000 followers, pretty active on Twitter, 25,000 tweets. Omar Abdullah of the National Conference, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, was 7th on that list, if I'm not wrong. Nearly 5 lakh followers and about 6,500 tweets. Sushma Swaraj of the BJP up next with about 1 million followers, joined in November 2010. Arvind Kejriwal. We're going to come back to him on this, Raheel, because I find his presence on Twitter fascinating. 1.75 million followers, only 3,000 tweets, and he joined November 2011. And the last pioneering neta on our list, the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, 1.2 million followers, joined in January 2012.
Yeah.
Now, the fascinating thing about this, and I was talking about Arvind Kejriwal, is he joined pretty late. And if you look at that graph, Arvind Kejriwal joined in November 2011, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
He's already at 1.75 million followers. How did that happen?
Well, Arvind's rise on Twitter has coincided with the growing internet penetration, and then B, his approach to Twitter. So if you follow his Twitter feed, it's very raw, it's very authentic. He puts whatever stuff he wants to put out on Twitter. One doesn't kind of get a sense that he's not engaging. He's pretty into it. He's pretty into the platform, and he uses it to break news. He uses it to set media agenda. So his usage of Twitter particularly.
He's tweeted about the media quite often, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. But what we find fascinating from a platform point of view is that he gets to he uses a platform every now and then just to sort of as I said, set media agenda, break news. I remember just a couple of weeks ago, he broke news that someone hit him. Yeah. And that he broke on Twitter.
We're going to come to that moment towards the end of this show. That was a big moment on Twitter, if I remember right.
Yes.
Let's talk about the leading candidate, the leader over here, quite clearly. 3.9 million followers, Narendra Modi, right up there, and one of the pioneers on Twitter. Was getting early on Twitter an advantage for people like Shashi Tharoor and Narendra Modi?
Absolutely. I mean, the moment you establish your lead on a platform early, you then get what is called the network effect. So you become a default follow for everyone who joins the platform, as and when they join the platform. Having sort of set the trend for, hey, this is the politician, these are the politicians who are on Twitter, and Twitter also helps new users find and discover these politicians, right? So the sooner you are on there, the sooner you have like a body of tweets and media, the easier it becomes for people to find you and follow you and interact with you.
Who's the most active of these 10 in your estimation? You've probably done a few studies on this.
Well, we've seen during this election period, pretty much everyone has been very active. Mr. Modi has actually led a lot of innovation on the platform. Mr. Omar Abdullah has started using Vine to capture
the videos on Twitter.
Our video tool to capture his campaign. Mr. Modi has also used Vine this election. Mr. Tharoor has been tweeting about his campaign throughout. Gul, of course, tweets pretty much on the fly.
All right. We have about 20 seconds left. So if Netas have to do it right, and we've got 5 years till the next election, 2 tips that you'd give them.
Be yourself. Make sure you're tweeting media-rich stuff and engage with your followers.
All right. Be yourself, engage with your followers, and tweet media-rich stuff, which is photographs and videos,
links.
And perfect. Your tweets, your votes, and you saw it on the map right there. Millions of tweets, 56 million of them from the 1st of January this year to May 12th, which was the final day of voting. I have with me Raheel Khurshid of Twitter India. He's the head for news and government at the organization, and he's here to help us understand all the data that you've generated as a viewer on Twitter. And what we're going to do right now is look at just some of that. We want to start with the 5 most searched things on Twitter. Let's get that list up on our graphics right now. So these are the 5 most searched terms. Number 1, by far, Narendra Modi, 113,000 searches for him. Aam Aadmi Party and BJP sharing the 2nd and 3rd spots with 78,000 tweets. Varanasi, which is where Modi fought Arvind Kejriwal, which is number 4 on that list with 76,000 searches. And right at the bottom of that list with 35,000 searches is the hashtag Always with Congress, obviously for the Congress party. And I want to ask you a question. You have 3 items on this list, Raheel, which suggest very clearly links to the BJP. An early start by them on Twitter and their followers, and that's helped them over here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've just pioneered a lot of innovation on the platform. Just the usage of the platform from their point of view has been pretty amazing to watch. And the fact that they got onto it early on and everyone else was playing catch up helped them in this election.
I also want to look at the Congress over here, because one of the things that we've seen since the elections has ended is the Congress saying it was a communication failure. We failed to communicate. We had a graphic earlier where we said 450 politicians on Twitter this year. That's an amazing number. The Congress has been surprisingly slow on Twitter.
Well, to get off the block, yes, they have been very slow on Twitter, but they've sort of registered a pretty active presence as far as this election is concerned, and they've seen a pretty high follower growth and a user growth. Towards the end of the election, towards the middle of the election actually, they again started using Vine, they started engaging with people and so on and so forth. But yeah, because BJP was off the blocks, as I said, everyone else was just playing catch.
And now 2019 is a big election again. I mean, we're probably seeing a stable government that won't go away in 5 years. It's a lesson for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's look at the next graphic, which is the top 5 tweets on during the elections. We start off with number 5, which is Narendra Modi announcing that he's about to file his papers in Varanasi. This was retweeted, and this was taken on the 12th, retweeted about 1,500 times by his followers. Number 4 on that list is a tweet by Subramanian Swamy, who's talking about the controversy of Mamata Banerjee's paintings, where he says they were sold for 3.9 crore rupees. Remember, the Trinamool Congress contested that number. Let's go to number 3 on this list. Number 3 is Kiran Bedi saying, explaining to Twitter followers why she wants to vote for Narendra Modi and the BJP. That got 2,798 retweets from her followers. Number 2 on this list, Narendra Modi, after having voted in Gujarat, posting a picture of his finger with the ink stain and the BJP logo. That went viral. 3,500 retweets, 3,000 favorites for that photograph. And the number 1 tweet of the elections, Raheel, are you surprised by this at all?
Not at all, not at all. First of all, top 2 tweets in the top 5 list are media-rich tweets, which I was mentioning earlier, that the more media you send out, the more personalized media you send out. These are both very intimate photos, right? And you're directly engaging with the audience on Twitter. You're directly engaging with the young people of India who are probably voting for the first time. And you're speaking their language. The moment you do that, you're basically trying, you win over the platform. The top 2 tweets are an example of that.
Bringing them right to the action in that sense. All right. From the top 5 tweets, we want to now get you to the top 5 moments of the election on Twitter. Let's go straight into that. The number 5 moment on Twitter, April 8th, Arvind Kejriwal getting slapped by one of his former supporters who turned against him. Let's look at what that moment was like, generating 98,000 tweets on Twitter. That moment right there, someone garlanding him and then assaulting him while he was traveling on his Jeep. As we said over there, 98,000 tweets about that one moment on Twitter on the 8th of April 2014, right after the elections began. Number 5 on this list is a moment that the BJP followers would not remember too fondly. Number 4 on this list, the BJP followers not remembering this too fondly, is the Election Commission cancelling Narendra Modi's Varanasi rally, generating more than 1 lakh tweets. You can see what the BJP responded with. The very next day, they came out in droves. Supporters all over the town protesting against the Election Commission's decision, and our drone cam from the Election Express capturing those shots quite beautifully as the BJP leaders made their way to Varanasi. And you can see Narendra Modi right there on one of his rallies. We also had number 3 on this list, which is generating again more than 1 lakh tweets. You have Rahul Gandhi filing his nominations from Amethi, and let's take a look at some of those visuals. A grand convoy by the Congress Vice President through the town of Amethi as he filed his nomination papers along with his sister riding on that SUV. Number 2 on this list is the very last day of I beg your pardon, the very last day of the election. The date is wrong over here. It should say May 12th. We saw nearly 191,000 tweets by my calculation. And the number 1 moment on Twitter in this elections, right there, the end of the elections, 197,000 tweets generated. This election was all about people coming out and saying, I voted, wasn't it? The highest turnout rate ever in Indian electoral history, and they wanted to share it.
No, absolutely. This election has been fascinating to watch. So many people coming forward, and such a long election, and then expressing interest in mobilizing what they felt, in just visualizing what they felt, and using social media to communicate very, very effectively that they're in it, and they're in it completely. And it was brilliant to watch that from a Twitter point of view. Like our whole team, like Rishi, Pratiksha, Anish, Ravi, and Arvinder, we've sort of been on the fringes. Like this election has taken our breath away in that
56 million tweets, I can understand, and that map capturing every single one of them, if we can get a camera across onto that map in just a minute. But Raheel, it's been fascinating, the data that you've been sharing with us. This election has been all about the people, and I think Twitter is a platform that captures the people absolutely perfectly. I'm afraid we have to end it there, no matter how fascinating this data is. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for joining us on Your Tweets, Your Vote.